mean, absolutely. Franklin is my boss, and he's very much spot on a number of the issues. I think it calls for sober reflection, because we've seen these celebrations before, right? Remember, we had the famous hat trick in 2019, right? And we had the big kinky party at the Ministry of Finance, only for us to end up going back to the IMF, right? Just down the line. And it reflects the fundamental issue about, value for money, the rate of borrowing, the expenditure, and then actually the amount as well. And again, back to the cement analogy that you gave, which is absolutely right. In fact, if you actually work out the cement prices in dollar terms from 2010 or so onward, it has barely changed, right? It's probably worth about $8 or so thereabouts per bag. What has changed is actually the exchange rate, and which in a way reflects, in my view, the poor management of the economy over the last couple of years, particularly in the last few years, when all the signs were there in terms of borrowing that we're actually heading for a crash down the line. So I struggle a little bit with my colleague Frank on here when we use a bit of the flow argument in terms of the debt growth rate and all of that. If you actually look at the numbers, and you're right that in 2009, when the new 2008-9, when the new administration came into power, President Mills, it was just about $9 billion Ghana cedis for what we owed, right? And then in 2016, it went up to 126 or so billion. And as we speak now, you're talking a little close to 600 billion, right? With or without the forgiveness that we've gotten. But the important point for me is
122 or 26 billion to now,
by the end of 2016.
And to now, how much?
Now, the last number that I had, we were talking, let me just check my spreadsheet here because I collate these numbers.
I had 600.
The last number that I had, and you can look at the Bank of Ghana report as well, it's actually close to about 600, right, billion Ghana cedis, right? So you can work out the growth rate and all, but we can also look this.
But Doc, forgive me for interrupting. Does this jump, quantum leap, not confirm what managers of the economy have been telling us, that we went to abnormal times? Because how is that normal? You showed Prof. Mills's time, then you showed John Mohammed's time, and then suddenly about how much percentage leap. That tells you that
if you work out the numbers, right, it's a very simple math. Between 9 billion to 125, 26 billion, it's a bigger jump than from 120 to 600 if you work out the relative change. But that is not the point. And that is where I'm trying to actually get our politicians, and let us forget about this politics of comparison. I came to meet this and I added that, because the reality is that we're broke and we cannot pay our debt, and therefore we've had to go to the creditors, right?
So I'll need you to hold on.